Hello buddy, Sam here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about where we are, CRISPR, and sort of some thoughts here on this beautiful Saturday here in Montreal. It's like 30, 31 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for Americans, but it's quite hot. But I know a lot of places are having obviously the summer heat. But obviously, on this beautiful day here, I wanted to talk about certain thoughts. I thought myself, last night to say, you know what, it's a good idea that I just go over maybe high level, instead of looking at an article or research, just talk to you guys directly on the camera with my microphone here and sort of, be able to give you guys sort of how I see this landscape right now. And of course, there's a lot of things going on, not just outside CRISPR, outside genomics, right? There's a recession. We are in a recession. We've been in a bear market for well over a few months. I mean, technically in the biotech sphere, we've been in a bear market for well over a year at this point, I would argue. I would argue since 2021, like February, around that time. So that's a year and a half we've been in the bear market, the longest bear market in the biotech market. But stocks as a whole, because obviously when we talk about bear market, you're talking about the stocks as a whole, the whole stock market. We're talking about tech stocks, we're talking about oil stocks, whatever. I think we've been in a bear market since basically end of 2021. Obviously, things have accelerated since Russia invaded Ukraine, and obviously a bunch of things happened since then. But I would say where we are today, we are in an interesting position, right? I was reading those articles on Twitter there, those latest tweets, and there were people saying, how Europe is in a position right now where they're gonna have food shortage very soon. I think there's like 40 or 49 between that percentage of individuals in Europe will have, food shortage in X amount of time. It's probably going to be in some significant amount of time, but it's going to happen, right? And the way we're doing things, that's how we're going to get to a food shortage, right? So if you want a different result than in current time or the expected time with the whatever stats they ran to extrapolate those results, you're going to have to change things, right? That's in basic life. If you just take your personal life, I mean, if you've always been in a certain weight in your life, and then you wake up and you're like, you know what, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? You're not going to lose 20 pounds by doing the exact same thing you've been doing for years, right? You have to make changes in your life, right? You have to get things done in a way where they are different than where you were doing in the past, because for you to get to n plus 1 to a desired result and being the current time or t plus 1, whatever variable you want, is you have to make some changes, right? And I think this is where we are today with the landscape of biotech. The way people are treating healthcare, the way people are treating food, the way people are treating diseases. If you want different results in the future, then you have to make changes today, and you have to make changes very soon, because this is not a unlimited time, right? I mean, life is not about a t plus infinity, right? Not especially not for humans, right? We have a finite amount of time on this planet, and of course, life is going to go on in some shape or form. I mean, this planet or this galaxy or whatever has existed for billions of years, so to say that it's all going to end once humans are gone from this planet is a little bit naive to state, especially since it existed billions of years before human ever came to existing. So my point here is, of course, I'm going off topic, and my point here is that you have to make some changes, right? And yes, the video I made 2 days ago on Bluebird getting FDA approval for a million to 2.8 million dollars drug. I mean, kudos to Bluebird for getting it FDA approved. Sort of expected that after their unanimous support a few months ago from the FDA. But the FDA has to look themselves in the mirror and say, look, we need these diseases to be treated. We need CRISPR, right? Because CRISPR has done that for phase 1, phase 2, even phase 3 clinical trials for some of these companies like CRISPR Therapeutics. We have NTLA going through their phase 1, phase 2 program. We have Caribou doing it. We have Verve that dosed their first patient. We have Editas that got mixed results. But ultimately, you have all these research papers going up on an exponential growth in US, in China, in Europe. So obviously, there's some validity to CRISPR as a technology. The question is, when will the FDA approve it? Because everybody knows the FDA is basically the big dog in health regulations. They're specifically for US. So obviously, Canada is Health Canada, Europe is EMA, or EMA, sorry, EMA, and of course other regions have their own health regulators. But the point is that US is obviously the big dog here, top economy. Everyone's looking at the FDA, especially Health Canada. I know this for a fact. As Canadian, her Health Canada system they always look at the FDA for honestly everything, like even the pandemic. Like I'm not even gonna go in that rabbit hole, but the point is that everything that US does is extremely important. And if the US, I think the landscape right now is what will the FDA do about Hexacell or CTX001? What, how will they approach that, FDA submissions when they do submit for FDA documents there, from CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex. We know they're planning to do this by the end of the year. I'll be honest with you guys, we're basically the end of August here. We're approaching the end of the year, the September, October, and November. You're not gonna get those documents mid-December during Christmas, right? So expecting something next 3 months from this company, from CRISPR Therapeutics and or Vertex, obviously they're partners. There's other programs too from NTLA, what they're gonna do in the next year. What will Beam Therapeutics do? Will they develop more partnership, or will they go forward with additional programs? What will Verve do? Once they get their data for their phase 1 data that they dosed their first patients a few weeks ago. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. But I think ultimately, with what we saw with Bluebird 2 days ago, today where we are in this landscape is that it's all about the FDA approval. Like honestly, if you're invested in this space, like you may be in love with science, you may understand CRISPR to like the dot, and you understand CRISPR-Cas9, CRISPR-Cas12, base editors, you even understand prime editors, you're so involved in the space, you look at research papers and so on. But I'll be honest with you, as an investor there, you're focused, and I think this is what institutions are doing. Like excluding ARK Invest, I think big institutions are basically looking for what and how will the FDA approach CRISPR Therapeutics program. Depending on how this is handled, I think you'll see the dominoes fall. Whether that's a positive outcome or a negative outcome, that really depends on what the FDA does. Because I'm honest with you, if the FDA goes out and just puts a pause on a CRISPR Therapeutics for whatever reason, right, for CTA001, I don't think they will, because the data is so great. But if they do, it's gonna take a huge, huge hit on CRISPR as a landscape. Forget about CRISPR therapeutics. I'm just thinking the CRISPR landscape, right? You may see pauses in papers published, you may see negative articles, and we're not even mainstream yet. That's what's crazy about all of this. We're not even mainstream. And in this, when we're in this space, especially me and of course our viewers and you guys watching, you think this is normal, this is the mainstream, we're almost close, we're gonna get out there. We're not even close to the we're like in the beginning of the S curve, right? If anybody knows what I'm talking about, the S curve, they know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, just Google S curve economy or business, you'll understand right away. But really at the beginning, right? And I think once we get the FDA approval for CTX01, we won't even be like 1/3 of that S curve. I think we'll be so early. And I think honestly, especially investors that invested in this space years ago or last year or even this year, I think you'll be seeing some rewards very, very soon, upcoming months. Again, not financial advice, but I strongly believe it. So many exciting things going on here, guys. Just wanted to speak to you guys really directly on the camera here. No screen to monitor, no article to review. Just give my thoughts here, no pause, no edit, and allow you guys to sort of see how I'm looking at this landscape. I think it's important sometimes to just verbally express yourself, where you stand, how you're seeing the space, what are your thoughts, how you can sort of put the analogies with stock market as a whole, the macro environment as a whole, and sort of bring it back to what you're specialized in, right? In this case, we're talking about CRISPR companies, genomics companies, biotech. And of course, I can start talking about Teladoc, I can start talking about NVIDIA, I can start talking about BNGO, sequencing companies, and so on. But that's maybe for another day, maybe for a next video there. But thank you so much for watching. I'll end this video like this. Do subscribe if you enjoyed this video, guys, and of course like this video. I am in Montreal today. Tomorrow's video, you will see me in Toronto. I'll be back in Toronto, back on the road there. But of course, I'm going to be enjoying today, Saturday, and hopefully you guys will be as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.